Oh, and the saga continues. We made this. Chopping these ants, man. Damn ants. Where I just got done mowing the lawn. Had welded these caster, you know, wheels on there. Alrighty, well, yeah, fix the sound. It was the HDMI cable was still left plugged in. Hey guys, how you doing? How you doing? Craig here on the Thai farm with another day of my life, my retired life, where I just got done mowing the lawn, and it's hard. I'm growing my hair out, so don't mind my bird's nest. Speaking of which, there are a lot of bird's nests over the water. A couple of them fell in and we're floating this morning from previous rains. I'm looking over here across the yard. Over, he's got my neighbors over there, but right in there, I can see the whatever, the Kobelco, you know, the macro excavator, and it looks like they got a whole bunch of ditch pipe, you know, like canal pipes or something. So. But I know that lot right where that guy is, they recently, well, last year probably, I don't know, they cleared that lot and put dirt on it, like, you know, whoever owns that lot is probably gonna build a house on there. They might be doing some of that for that. Maybe they're building a cement canal or a bigger canal, or tearing up an old one, I don't know. I'll go there on my motorbike later and spec it out. But yeah, I figured that whole road over there was actually going to develop. You know, they got a little, one guy's had his little farm shack going and turned it into almost like a club practically, him and the boys and stuff. But my neighbor built a beautiful house over here and brought power and water down this far. So now, you know, that's really just an invitation, right? I mean, I guess that's how all neighborhoods are built, you know. Somebody moves into the neighborhood and brings power and water and sewer or whatever. Of course here is septic, but and then other people go, you know what, it's much more feasible for me to move over there now on my land because I got quick access to, you know, power and water, and I don't have to pay that extra fee, especially out here, you know, in the farmlands. Speaking of water, fountain is still hauling ass. One of the things I don't know if I mentioned it when I hooked that fountain up in the last video, but the garden hose, which is on that same line, my wife had open. So when she came home, I go, hey, check out the fountain. She goes, hey, did you turn the garden hose off over there? I'm like, no. So yeah, so when we turned that hose off, I probably got another, that's probably gave me that other 5 foot tall, you know, I got another maybe 2 or 3 feet spray, and then another 4 or 5 foot on the main one. That's pretty cool. It's more pressure. But in this continuing saga, what I have conjured up in my mind as a solution, I got my loft ladder leaning up against my scaffolding here to help me get up. But maybe I can do it from here without falling. Anyway, so if you're familiar with the project here, I had built these little. Let me go over there. Whoa! I had welded these little arms coming down, and I had welded these caster, you know, wheels on there to fit in the groove of that track I made. And then it just wasn't working, man. Wasn't working. So what I've done now, let me get up here. We'll get back at you. Yeah, gotta watch out for these ants, man. The damn ants. But anyway, so yeah, I'm not all that sure-footed today. Coming out of my house twice, I almost pulled the header straight over the stairs. Just because of a slippery foot. I got a little bit of a, you know, old fan. Gotta work. I'm out of breath too quickly. Anyway, so this is what I plan on doing. I'm gonna try and do this now. So I had 4 legs, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 wheels in that track, and the track, as you saw, it has angle iron, you know, angle iron that I welded down for the track for this to fit in and go. And one of the, when I, you know, first put it on there just to sample it, one of the challenges was that this building, and my eyeballing, it's not laser level, and usually for track kind of stuff probably needs to be laser level. But anyway, so what happens is the wheel goes down the track, and then it kind of lifts up a little bit, like kind of floats or whatever, and that was, you know, that was causing it to, you know, whatever, not flow right or whatever. And then it was kind of like this, it wanted to go left or right, and I don't know, I just remember it was like binding, right? It was binding, and I was like, dude, that ain't working. And so then in my genius, I figured, you know, I'm gonna cut the wheels off. I gotta start over. I gotta cut the wheels off because I had already welded everything. So I just cut that whole arm in half and let the roofs hang normal. See where those better align. And I saw that they actually seemed to line up more on the inside. So then I thought, well, wait a minute, maybe I should weld it. You know, instead of coming straight down, I'll take this and I'll weld it on the, you know, on the inside, so that I have that much more, which is like an inch or whatever, to go on the inside. And then I thought, well, you know what, it's probably gonna bind there too. And what is that? Oh. I was looking at the track, looked like there was a dead animal in there, but it's a bunch of leaves. Anyway, so I have put the two metal tracks that I made. I put them up on the metal, you know, little beams or whatever we want to call them. Also, by the way, so those all stuck out, right? They all stick out on their side. And if, in my last video, I introduced you to my new Sawzall. Well, as luck would have it, and as I intended to, because I didn't want to use the grinder to try and cut the metal, because, you know. And anyway, so I used the Sawzall, and it just went It pretty much went right through it. I'd say 30 seconds for the you know, the tube steel, the 2-inch tube steel, and maybe 45 seconds for the 3-inch C, you know, the iron one or whatever it is. It's steel, I think, but it's different metal. Anyway, so it cut through there, but the blades that came with it, cheap ass blade, I think I cut 2 pieces, and the middle teeth were already like filed down. So fortunately, like I said, I had brought a whole bunch of a pack with me from America that I still had, and I used those, and I was able to cut all of these and the overhangs, and I cut all of those on that side and the overhangs, and so because it was clipping it over there too. Anyway, so now that the roof was free up, that's what I'm trying to say, and so it was good enough. I put the track back up on. I did leave a little bit out of there because I wanted the track on there, and also it's part of the aesthetic of the way this thing is supposed to look, I guess. But anyway, so I got the track up there now, and I thought, you know what? It looks like it might be just aligned with where the wheel needs to go, you know. But I was still faced with a challenge of you know, is it going to be even or what? So check it out. I decided what I'm doing is I'm going to just put this in there like that, and then I'm going to put this in there like that. Now it'll be rickety, but this is heavy, so this will, you know, it'll fall, right? So the roof and this, or the idea is that the wheel will stay in the track because it will rise and fall as it goes down the track. Yeah, does that sound totally stupid or what? Anyways, I wanted to see, and if that works, I thought what I'd do is I'd try and use my marker maybe and put some marks on there and see, you know, how much movement there was and this and that, to where, you know, if it was more feasible, I would just go ahead and weld it so that it's, you know, that it's solid. But, you know, I don't really think it needs to be. Once it's in that, you know, once it's in the track, that'll give the roof some stability. I guess I would be worried about the strong wind still being able to pull it up. I don't know. Well, I already do see a bird right there, man. It's not a bird, but I see some makings of a nest. Could have yanked that guy out of there. Birds love this kind of overhang stuff, right? I mean, this is all going to be sealed, but I wouldn't be surprised if even one is sealed, because it has an overhang there, a bird going to come in there and hang out on the sealed part. Anyway, let's see if I can't get that to work. All I really have to do is unsecure this, because I got it tied down now in case there's wind. I'm going to unsecure it, untie it, and then the you know, the roof moves, right? I can teeter it, so I can teeter up, slip that thing in there, put it right down, make it happen. Yeah. All right, man. Let's see what it looks like. I'll get back at you. Well, that's the idea. Wheel in the gutter, wheel in the gutter over there. I just took this one out because it was really binding, so I was like, dang. And then it, you know, it has that flex, so, and that's actually not even moving, not spinning. It does on the back, but not on the front. I think we're gonna have a problem. It was a good idea. but perhaps not enough math. Alright, well, let me see if I can do about that. Get back at you. Well, I took the two rear ones off. I left the two. What? The what? Yeah. The sound, fixing the sound on the TV. Anyway, I left the two front ones on there and I was able to roll it over there, but it's still quite restrictive. So, and I thought of something that is, the roof is really supported by the center access. The sides are really guides. I made these kind of very robust and big because I figured it was going to be more used for the support of the weight, but in reality probably doesn't need to be. So I'm gonna go back to my shop and see. I have the smaller wheels, which means I could probably put the thinner post attached to that with a smaller wheel, and that way I would know I wouldn't have any binding issues and stuff, and I might be able to roll there freer. Alright, well, let's go fix the sound on TV and see if I can't get some more wheels. Back at you. Alrighty, well, yeah, I fixed the sound. It was the HDMI cable was still left plugged in from the karaoke machine. And yeah, you gotta unplug that and restart the TV. Sound came back on. Anyway, so I did get the smaller wheels, so check this out. And these are, you know, heavy caster wheels like that. It's smaller in circumference, but this is actually the same width. Although now I really, what I have to do is either figure out that. Yeah, that's actually probably what I have to do. I have to figure out this. And then with that I can take this and still insert it in the top. And that might be the ticket. Although one of the problems with this, with the track, is, if you saw on these, you know, I had these extra pieces from something else, and I used these, welded these, but I cut the edge off flat because with the two edges on there, it was too fat for the track. It was just like there. So I cut them off higher than the track lip so that I could go through there smoothly. And even now it's actually not quite that smooth. It still binds. So I'm gonna try it with these. And then, should I? I'm wondering if I remove the A-frame from the track. Actually, if I move the A-frame from the track, these bigger wheels would set farther down in there, and I probably wouldn't be able to do it. Anyway, let's see what kind of combobulation I can come up with. Maybe it'll work. Alright, man, back at you. Oh, and the saga continues. We made this, which was smaller, but I just ran into the same kind of problem. I thought it was gonna sound electrical. And that is that it would, as it wouldn't go perfectly straight, it would clash with the sidewalls of that C pipe, you know, the C bar, whatever you call it. And then I had an old piece of angle iron from the front gate, and I laid that angle iron on top of the angle iron that's in the C bar, raised it up a little bit, see if that would, you know, do it. I thought, oh yeah, it's perfect, I'll just go up a little bit and that might be enough. No. So then what I've done here is in my testing mode. So that's the, that's the angle iron that's welded in there, and the wheels, small or big, would catch on this side, go over here and it kind of go like this. So I took that extra piece of angle iron that I have and I just set it by itself, no bar, just set it by itself on here like this. And this actually, this one is, I got the insert in there, but what I would do is I'd weld that back to being stiff again. And but it, it goes along the top of that angle iron. Fair enough, like it should, I guess. So, and I put like, this C bar is, what's that? It's 6 meters. And I welded that thing about every 2 feet. So if I tried to use my grinder to cut through this metal to remove that angle iron, I don't think I'd be able to do that effectively. So I have to go buy 2 more pieces of angle iron. See if I can't just lay the angle iron on the, on the bar like I was gonna with the whole thing. The idea with the C bar was that it was like a channel, right? A channel for this whole thing to glide through. That ain't working. So, and part of it on this side was, and I know I showed this a while back and the very first time I was doing this part of the video, but this beam, this concrete beam that I made, I remember when I put the form up, it became a lot thicker on this outside, which means I can't take the C bar up against here good enough, which makes part of that wheel kind of, that's where it starts to hit and all that. So because it's about, it's once the C bar, that C bar is butt up against the fat part of the concrete, then it's still got the A-frame or the angle iron inside the C bar. So the tip of the angle iron is about that far from the side of the wall here. So if I just have just the angle iron against the wall, it'll be closer and it might go smoother. I did from there to this little section in here, I already cut it and chipped it all out, but I didn't do it all the way down. I didn't want to have to go all the way down here and chipping that damn thing out. I might wind up doing that. But that's the thing about do it yourself, you just keep doing it, figure it out, different pictures come to your mind and start figuring it out. So that's what I'm gonna do. I guess I'm just gonna have to figure it out. I'll get me some angle iron. But not today, because I'm dying over here. It's hot. I've been back and forth welding and this and that and that and that and that and that. Checking this, checking that, climbing up, climbing down. Ants, ants, ants. So I'm gonna go relax. See if I can, catch your breath. Alright, man. Yeah, I'll get back at you.